used to, hearing it. The other thing, there's various things you can do here. Sometimes the jacket's open like this. I'll pass this through here, underneath the armpit. Okay, and I'll take it nice and deep, as much of that material as I possibly can. And I'm going to use my shoulder across the neck a little bit here. And that's quite uncomfortable. I've actually had a submission a few times on that. I don't always just put it on the side. I try to put it underneath here. Put the pressure here. That makes him think about other things. That pins his shoulder. A good groundwork guy is always going to turn into it. He's going to try. What he's trying to do, a good guy also, exactly. What he'll try and do, just going to push that to the left. He'll try to come under the gear. Remember that, if you're here, always try and come under this arm. Don't go over it. Going over here, that's I love that when they do that to me. I'm going to go over, I keep that shoulder down here and I can really work on that. But if he comes under, now I've got a few problems because he's starting to turn into me. He's starting to come through here, getting underneath. Now I haven't got the control. So that's why if I ever get the opportunity, if I can here, I will take the jacket. There. The other thing I do sometimes is, if some guys are quite agile, they pop the head through here, that's okay, no problem. I'll just come a little bit higher here. If I can, I'll control this arm. I don't need to tie it up, and just control it there. That's another very effective way of pinning that shoulder down. Alright, so there's a couple of things you can try there, adding on. The other thing is it's quite difficult sometimes to get this leg out. See how he's got a grip right above my knee? That's difficult. I want to have him gripping around my ankle. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep my leg down here. Bring you see me working my leg up. Here, so my foot flat on top, my knees pointing up. That's still difficult for him to grip, because all I need to do now is push his knee to the side, look there. It's impossible to hold onto that. He's now grabbing my ankle, which is much easier for me. And then what I'm going to do from here, if I can normally get the leg out of here, but sometimes I just put my knee on the floor, and I'll turn this way, look, I'm controlling his upper body, and I'll put this leg over. And pop it out, and then on top here. And with another leg. Alright, let's see if I from here go over this. Still keeping all my weight on his upper body. I'll bring my knee pointing up. Much more difficult for me to hold on to that. Inside the knee, not the outside, just push it so it slides off. I'll try and use this one for that. It's pretty difficult. I won't fight it too much. Put my knee on the floor. One. Now I need to control the body again. Look, control the upper body first. And I just bring this one over the top of his thigh, lift my hips a little bit, pop it out, and tap and shoot it down. A few things to add on to that position. Okay? Let's have a try. I'll just go through that point where the legs is here. Okay, and I've passed this through. And I've managed to get the leg out. I've got this time here. If I've got this jacket, sometimes I don't have enough jacket. I haven't managed to get it all the way, and he starts to turn in a little. What I'm going to do now is just take a little bit of the slack up in the jacket here. I've got the end of the jacket now. This hand, I'm putting underneath his hip. My forearms on the floor. He's turning into me, making it more difficult for him to turn in. That's controlling his hips. Now with this one, I take up the slack, and now what I'm going to do, look at my head. And my weight's right over him, look. Right over, right over, right over. All the way around, grab the jacket. Nice and straight. So I'm just, it doesn't feel too secure, that hold down. I'm thinking, right, I'll just, from here, I've got the end of the jacket. And, even if I've got this, I can sometimes just let it slide down there. So it's behind his neck. This arm comes around, controlling his hip. He's going to turn into me because he can't really turn out. There's nowhere to go going out with his shoulders there. Now what I'm going to do is keep my weight where it is, but I'm going around on my knees. I'm still keeping my weight down. Look, I'm going around slowly. Now this arm, I'm trying to lift up just to show you where my arm is. But this arm now has to go down here. My shoulder goes there. That keeps me down. Look now, I can move with my legs. Right. We did this in the beginning of the warm-up. And then this one, come around, grab the material there, just grab it here, and then just bring that elbow a little further through, and choke. Once more. Keeping the control all the time, just let it slide to the end of the jacket now. Take up the slack, pull it behind the neck. Still keeping my chest on it. Forearms on the floor, stopping his hips from turning in. I stay low, stay low, stay low. My arms still on the ground here, look. All the way around, sliding out his body, still keeping the pressure down, pressure down, pressure down. And here, and then this way. Use this inside of your wrist. That's the action there. Let's give that a try. It's fun, that's the way to do that. So what I'm going to do, use the jacket again, my arms here. What I'm going to do, chest goes blocking it out. What I'm going to do now is come through these strong arms. Underneath this arm, I'm really looking to control this arm. So rather than going over that arm, and battling with that arm as well, I'm going to come through diagonal underneath here. And I'm going to pull the jacket out here, because it's normally loose. If it's not, then I can do it without the jacket. But if I can, I'll use the jacket. And you can practice it this way to begin with. Just come over and take the grip this way. Right here. You've still got this good posture, but what I'm going to do now is pull that arm. I'm going to use both my arms, because my two arms are stronger than my one arm. My two arms on his one arm, I'll normally win that little battle. And I'm going to push his elbow towards my right hip. And you'll notice I just put my hips a little bit that way, just to help that. So his elbow is now right on my hip. Okay? I've broken his posture a little bit. What I'm going to now do is take a grip inside the neck, deep. You'll notice I put my arm in straight, not bent like that. I put it in and reach as far as I can. Right up here. And now I can pull him down quite effectively there. Look, right, he's lying on his own arm. And now his posture's completely gone. Alright, so put his arm across my body, he's lying on his own arm, this foot will come into the hip. Alright, just release it from the crossed guard position to here, into the hip. And I'm just going to slide a little bit to the side. And you'll notice I stay flat on my back here, I'm not turning my hips. Be careful, so if I can turn the hips here, don't turn your hips. Just stay flat on your back and go to the side and move this leg up over their back. Now he's lying on his own arm, pinning him down with my right leg. Alright, I'm going to make a little move now, tiny move. I keep my left knee where it is, put my foot on the floor. Still keep this against him. To turn my hips completely flat on the floor. And now just leg over his head. My two legs over here, and Bob crossing my legs here. From here it's just a simple lift your hips off the floor and put now, still put my hand into his neck. All I'm going to do now is just put both arms on his arm and lift my hips. Goes on straight on. Yeah? If he starts to try and stand up, sometimes they come up and it's too easy for me. Yeah? Alright? So, let's go through. He's defending my cuddles earlier on. So I'm going to come through. Take a jacket if I can. If not, I'll just do it with my arms. I'll just do it this way. Alright, but I'll just practice a little jacket for now. Here, as much of that jacket as possible. Okay, pull it across. Here, sometimes I'll pull them down with the shoulder this way as well. I'll do it like this sometimes. Okay, it doesn't matter too much. As long as I keep him there. Okay, foot right into that hip. Push to the side. Here, get this one right over and keep him there. I'm now 90 degrees to him. I'm looking at his ear. You can see there your opponent's ear here. You know you're roughly 90 degrees, that's good. As soon as he's in this position, I get this leg over his head as quick as possible to keep him down. Both legs, putting all your weight down here. Keep this arm nicely sort of stretched towards you. And now it's just lifting your hips up. And arm goes down. Alright, I'm not making a huge move on the ground. And last time, it's just Keeping control with my legs. Don't want my legs all floppy here or come around my legs straight away. Keep your legs, nice and controlled there. Through. Take the jacket. Take it across. Over here or here. Swing down. That's the way to do it here. I sometimes use my wrist on the back of the head just to keep the head down. There. Turn. Get that over there nice as high as you can. Down here is no good. It's got to be up over his back as high as possible. Turn the hips a little bit more, that foot on the ground. Once I've got that over there, 2 arms on the one arm, and lift your hips. Arm up, go straight on. Okay, be careful with the arm up because it goes on very, very quickly. You normally do it. Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, I mean that's fine. What I'll do is I'll do that same technique. I'll just add on a couple of bits, but that's pretty good. Okay. So what I would add to that, same position, right? But keep my weight on my toe. So if I'm on my knees, I've got no weight on it. Big switch back, spin on the back and start to attack. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is stop them from doing that, I'm just putting my weight on it. In fact, this is an exercise. Alright, so now when you can warm up, I'm using my arms, keeping my weight on them. I use this as well. Keep my weight on them. Always keep your weight down. Right, so nice angle. My weight is more here than it's normally up here. You just pull that using my back. Alright, so look at my leg position there. Wide there, so the hand. I will come through and grab the wrist this side. I think you put your arm here and then all the way around. Well, the only danger here is you're going to grab my arm and just start rolling, start turning. Okay, so I then put my arm across. On this side, I put my left arm here. On the same side that I am, on this side, so I put my left arm. I'm grabbing like this with my thumb over, not my thumb under, thumb over, pulling it into his body. If his arm just pops out here, don't do that if you're too. This is what happens. You're going to get with the arm up there. Good players when the arm come out, they tend to pull it in. Okay, that's what I want now. Now I'm going to come around, hand here just to keep where I want. I'm going to come around here, and I'm going to put a figure 4 on his arm here. Alright? At the same time, I put my heel into right under his arm, right through here. Okay? Put your arm back through here, that's everything all the way up here. Just going to hook it there. So I'm in this sort of set position. So I'm on this knee, figure 4, elbow across the back. Got a lot of leverage now. Alright, so go to that. Weight down to his wrist. Spin around. Now, the hand that's on the wrist, what I'll do now is watch that head. I'm going to spin around with this heel in here, like nice and deep. I let the hand release. So I had it there, I let it release, and then I use my other hand. So I get this figure 4. Alright, so be careful because it's easy to get confused on this bit. My heel is quite near my knee. This one's gone right, it's gone through that far. Now once I've got this position, I've got my elbow across there back. I'll take it over. I'm not taking straight to the side, I'm taking something to the diagonal. And this way. And cross my legs so that you can't go anywhere. still got this figure 4 position on his arm. And now what I'm going to do is place it right across the stone. There. Remember this, don't try and tie that straight away. We're going to place it over here first. Now, keeping the pressure down on that wrist, I grab the jacket. I'm not going to let go completely. I keep the pressure down. I pull it over. I get it as tight as I can. I won't do anything until I've got this really trapped. In fact, I try and cut the blood supply off their wrist. That's how tight I'm trying to get that. Now I'll sit up and I'll get the Sangatha position here. And this is important. He's lying on the back of my thigh. His neck is in the back of my thigh. I don't want my leg under his back here. Otherwise the triangle won't go on there. To make a pillow for him. Okay? An uncomfortable pillow in a second. So I'm going to turn now to my side. And now I get my shin right behind my leg. Alright, now I've got a nice tight Sangatha here. Alright, so just bring your heels back this way. Don't straighten your legs, just bring them back this way. Okay, so look strong there. I've also got a nice little arm up here. Yeah. Push it down and around, get a little submission here. If for some reason none of those things are working, I'm just going to grab his trousers this side and I'll release my legs and I'll just hold him down. I'll come with the other side of the body. And I know this is going to a BJJ position here, including Jiu-Jitsu, it doesn't count, or in Judo you have 25 seconds to get out. He puts his leg there, he uses that. Yeah. He's got 25 seconds to get out. They don't get out of this hold now because we've got this track off here, from track here, all the way from very quickly to step. So you've got about 3 and 1 if you like. So he's in the defensive position. Okay. First thing to put the weight on. Yeah. Okay. The other thing to remember here is this position is not a good position to be able to go into. Look how tight, go into a tight ball like that. I love it when you do that. Go into a tight ball, look. If I pull him over, he's on his back. Alright? Then when I'm in a tight ball, no problem. Generally, good players don't go in too tight a ball. Leave a little gap more. So I'll grab his wrist here now. Keep your weight down. Here, get your heel in deep, get your figure 4 on here now. As soon as I've got this figure 4 on, elbow goes here, this is where I get the leverage, take it diagonal. Just tighten up the legs. Take this right over, keep the pressure, pass it over, tight as you can. Pull that arm in, keep this arm nice and tight. Look, I'm on my side, I don't want to be on my back, I'm on my side. Then you get the triangle here. Or you've got the arm lock here. Or you've got the hold down here. Okay, so 3 and 1. Partner up. This is the track. He's not letting me get my heel right here. I can feel it. If he's got his arm right through here, alright, this is just I'm telling you that, I'm feeling that's what he's doing. What am I not doing from here? Is I just carry him over from here and just hold him down. Yeah? So you have to adapt it. Generally, you can get your foot in here, get around that arm here. Okay? Now, let's say he knows what's going on here. He knows what I want to take him there. He starts to come up a little bit, raising up. They try to come up. Yes, it's happening sometimes. What I'm going to do is just stay where I am and I hook around this arm of my leg. Alright? My toes are just going over there. My hands are going to do a little break for me. I'm going to my left shoulder, and I look towards his head. I'm in the same position that I need to be originally. Okay? So, I'm not panicking, because he's read the situation, he starts to come up. Okay, so I'm here, like before, everything's the same as before. You come around here, try and get this nice and deep around that arm. Figure 4 here. Now, just before I go to take him over, he starts to come up. Look. Okay, so I come up off my knees. I hook around with my toes. Look where I'm facing now here, over here. I put my hand on the floor for support. So I leave that figure 4 now, just the hand that's against the head. And I'm going to just go towards, I'm doing a break fall, I'm going to look towards his head. That's why the rolling things are very important. Then I go through the whole thing that we did before. Because he's on his back again. I'll do it once more. Okay, so same before, through the wrist, back around, here, catch, through the floor. He starts to cut, and he doesn't notice what's going on. Just catch it with your toe. You need to catch it, control that arm. Now I'm going to let go, just very briefly here, and start to look at this way. As soon as he hits the ground, I just tighten up my legs, and I tie up again. Go through the whole sort of procedure that we went through before. Let's have a try that one in pop. You've got, you know, if I leave my legs, I see there's quite a lot of people leave their legs all loose here. I mean, you're asking for trouble when you do that. Yeah, so controlling with your legs through my position here. Now, I'm going for Sangaku from here. I've got to get over one of the arms. Okay? Different ways you can do that. One of the ways I like to do it, sometimes I like to get this arm onto the floor like that. And I'll just take control of that arm. Yeah, so just sit it on the floor, lift them around, and just control that arm straight away. Alright, just go across with it now. As you can see, Kevin's got that arm exactly where those players will have it. And what I'm going to do is just take the sleeve here and push it down here and just loosen my leg. So I cross my leg just for a second, up and over the shoulder. Alright, I can't read the fender very easily now, so I've got that there. And what I do is put that foot in that hip again, just turn to the side a little bit. Grab my leg up. There's this, look at that. That's important. Okay? Right, so here's the fender away. Let's pull the arms forward. There are lots of different ways to do this, but this is one of my preferred ways. Trap that arm first. Take the opposite arm. Okay, just he doesn't really sense the danger at this point. All I'm going to do is just push a little bit. All I'm thinking about is getting my leg over his shoulder. There. Right, it still doesn't feel much danger. Once it comes to here, now it starts to feel danger. It's too late. But I've still got control over it. Put this foot in the hip because I want to just adjust my position a little bit to the side, just a tiny bit here. Still keeping that arm under control. Lock it right over your shin. That's no good. Put it in. There. Now it's on. What I'll do to put it on even more is just look at my hips. Here we've got the arm there.
Across the arm with the body over.
Don't need to. Not from there. You can do. I mean, sometimes here, turn to the side and here, very, very strong. Okay, very, very strong. Okay. There. I'm not allowed to do this in Judo. TJK, you can. I'll just have my legs in instead. Right, so let's go there again. Okay, so over. Just enough to control this arm. Take that sleeve. Just do enough with that. I'm still keeping control of my legs, just in case he tries to pass around me. And I'm going to push down through. I'm going to push it on through my legs. At the same time, with my leg here as soon as I possibly can. Here. Alright, now, just to get that turn again, I'm just going to go into that hip up there with my left foot, just to get that little bit of turn. It helps to get the position, a little bit of a better position. Release that hand now, just control my leg. Okay, I mean, you've got all sorts of options from here. Lock it in. I've got my arm lock here. Yeah, I mean, this arm starts to look good. Arm lock here. Alright, or I can take it over and across here. Notice I put my arms this side. Over this side, not here. Here. Very, very powerful. Again, if you're using your legs, you know, you're not just trying to strangle with your arms, you know, just using the most powerful part of your body. Okay? Partner, going here. When will I decide now? It's going to be Sangaku from here.
As opposed to, you know,
all the other options.
Yeah, I think it's to do with where this arm is. Now, good players, what they'll do exactly what Gam's doing, is try to put his elbow in here and start to work that leg. Yeah, so that's not good for me, because, again, if he just steps over or comes through, I'm in trouble. So I know that. So that's what the better players tend to, as I said before, go to the legs here. So I'm already here controlling that to stop that. So if I can, this is the preferred one for me.
If he grabs your trouser, though, actually with his hands, does it make it more difficult from the inside before Ray pushes your hand up? Yeah, now.
Oh yeah, I mean, if I let this, I'll break it off. If he's grabbing it, what I'll do now, when I break it off, you watch, I won't do it just with my hand, I'll do it with my leg. Yeah, it's difficult. If I'm just going to play, arm hand to hand, maybe, that's difficult for him to do. That's where I want to get to here. Yeah, so just again, you notice that this is a key thing. This sort of foot in the hip to get to here. Keeping him down. I don't want him going up. I keep him down here. And once I've locked it in there, this is difficult for this leg. Alright. Give it a try. Come over. I use this sometimes. I hold them here. And I've got this across here, and then it drops to the side here. And then sometimes they defect. Because I'm coming here, they start putting his hand up. Bring it up over there.
Oh, I see. It's pushing it down.
And once you've got this, I can say, give yourself a little bit of room here. If they're loose with this arm, you can easily do it. If they pull the arm down, it's difficult. I don't try and do it if they're strong with that arm there. Then I'll just work on here. I'll come to this side. If I can get this over here. That's equally as you don't have to force the arm, but sometimes they go floppy with this arm here. Okay, no problem. Yeah, I use the back of the hand on the back of the neck there. And it's really good that. This is the key though, having this nice and deep. It won't work if it's here. Yeah, open it up, get it nice and deep. And then there.
Yeah. Okay.
I put this hand sometimes onto this forearm as well. Yeah. Onto that one. Again, remember, as I said before, if you're in a ball, you go in this position. So I love it. Fantastic. Great. Because it's defensive. They're not normally going to be like that. They're going to normally put in. So what I try to do here is I'm thinking about getting my legs in. I'm not too concerned about trying to get my hands in because there's no space to get my hands in. So I normally take control of their neck here. I'll just bring this knee in. I get a really good tight grip of the body. Because it's easy to roll somebody this way. All I'm basically doing is roll it this way. Yeah? I know some people do this, you stand up and pull your arms in. I don't think that works particularly well. This works better for me. Here. Grab the body. I'll get the lapel of camp. Right now he's got to do something. He can't just stay. If he stays there. Yeah? He's lying flat. His heels in position ready for when he starts to roll. Get this arm right under the body. I don't take it here. I try to get quite close to them here. I try to get underneath the body. This one I'm controlling the shoulder here. Yeah? Come here and attack the neck. Or as I said, if he starts to move away, no problem. Arm that shoulders from there. He's on his back now. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm just thinking about just trying to get him onto his back. If he's lying flat. Better not to go into those positions. You're better off, if you find yourself here rather than I saw one the other day earlier on. Yourself going like this all the time. No. Turn, tap. Yeah? So a good little drill we can sometimes do sort of here, if you just touch that. Yeah.
Just touch my back neck.
Yeah. Don't get into this habit. You're asking for trouble if you stay down. Go back onto your stomach. Other ones sometimes are really difficult. Pull them up here. I'll get my legs in. Here. Okay, can we stay down there? I'll choke them there. Yeah, that's not very nice. You've got to stay down there. That's a really, really bad position. But you've got to get your legs in. Okay.
Personally, from a coaching point of view, how much of your, do you think, training when you're doing randori, should you as an individual be sticking to set game plans? You know, I'm going to do coach Iseanagi, or whatever it happens to be, as opposed to spontaneous judo, doing whatever it is that happens to come at the time. What kind of balance should there be in training, and does that balance change in contest?
That's a good question. I think that to start with, you've got to get some fundamental techniques that you know that work. You have to start from that premise. You have to have some techniques that you can rely on and that you can throw with. And then in the training, I think it's important, rather than just thinking, you know, I'm just going to do this technique. You've got to find, it's all about finding the right timing for the techniques. For example, if I'm doing a Iseanagi or a fourth Uchimata, I don't want to be trying when the guy's moving away from me. You know, if you're going that way, it's difficult. I'll throw him that way. If he's coming towards me, okay, then I'll do my Iseanagi or whatever this way. That's about timing. I think moving, so static Uchikomi on your techniques that you're building, and then the moving Uchikomi on the techniques that you're doing are really important. So I like to think of the moving Uchikomi is a bit like play pigeon shooting. You know, the guy's standing there, but if he starts to move, you've got to anticipate where he's going to be. So you can't, I used to do hours and hours of moving Uchikomi. The other thing I did a lot of was shadow Uchikomi, which was like, say for example, if I'm seeing, I just do hours of this sort of practicing the moves myself. So I knew exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't want to take the grip, I can simulate that quite quickly. The trouble is when people start gripping the jacket, they start to use too much power, they start to restrict their own movement. So shadow Uchikomi, static Uchikomi, and moving Uchikomi, and then you start to bring that into the randori. You know, it's obviously more difficult in the randori because people are moving all over the place, but you know, and then once you start to develop it into the randori, you can then bring it to competition. So it's sort of those stages really. It's very difficult just to bring something into a competition or randori unless you've honed those skills. You know, you've got to get the basics first. And it's all about the breaking of balance and just break the technique down in the beginning. Don't go too quickly on the techniques in the beginning. Get the technique right, and then you can build the speed and the power later on once you've got the technique. You know, I see a lot of guys who are strong, they're just trying to use a lot of power, and things are not in the right position. And then it's difficult later on. Once it's into the muscle memory, once you have bad technique in your muscle memory, it's difficult to undo it later on. Try and get it correct in the beginning, and then it'll be, you know, serve you in the end, definitely.
Yeah.
Digressed a bit.
In context, if you were to take it to the ground for whatever reason, what would be sort of judo techniques or throws to do that?
To take it to the ground?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it really depends on it's an individual thing, or whatever your whatever your favourite techniques are. Normally, you're under pressure, you'll do the techniques you feel comfortable with. You're talking judo or jiu-jitsu? Judo, yeah. You know, in judo you're looking always trying to get a big score, you're trying to get an ippon if you can. So I think, you know, when you train ippon judo, you know, I'm not a believer in koku. We used to have things called koku training. I don't like that, where you just knock the guy down, you know, that's, you know, if you knock somebody down, great, going to ground, but you're always aiming for ippon, for the big throws. Yeah, if you get a Wazaru or Yuto, that's fine, you know, but Any technique really, as long as you, one thing I would say is good to have throws in different directions. Throws backwards, forwards. That's again the uchikomi, uchikomi that way, sideways, circling. It's not just one. So a lot of people, because they feel very secure, just doing backing techniques. Oji guy, Osemi guy. Yeah, I feel safe, I'm not turning my back on the guy. One thing you really need to get good at is turning your back completely. And the other thing is when you throw someone, the other thing people don't realise, when you throw someone, you're off balance yourself. I have to throw myself to throw someone. Too many people play it safe, they come in and they go, I'll half do it and then the guy might fall over. No. You look at Cobra, look at a video of Cobra, he comes into a scenario, he does a somersault with the guy on his back. So how's he doing that? He's totally committing to the movement. And so that's, crash mat throwing, once you've got the technique right, go crash mat and really practice the power element to the throw, complete the throw. It's another good way of developing your throwing techniques.
An amateurish question.
Yeah,
At that level.
that's all right.
When you do like a, excuse me, I don't know the judo federal, one V turn your back, how do you stop yourself not messing that up, because I know it's about technique, but giving your back away when it goes wrong because someone just getting on your back?
Well, if you break their balance, they don't get, you give your back completely.
I've just seen a lot of competitions where they messes and they land on their knees and their backs on space.
Of course, if you come in for a technique and it just doesn't work, you haven't quite got it right, then they can be on your back. But I mean, normally if you've done it, you've really sort of come in with a lot of commitment. You've broken their balance enough that it's very difficult for them. They're thinking about survival, just getting off the technique. But if you half commit, you come in sort of half giving your back, that's where it's dangerous. So you've got to, in judo, it's the opposite to Brazilian jiu-jitsu. You give your back standing up. If you're sort of doing a forward technique, completely. My back's really against their chest if I come in for a forward technique. I want contact, I want the contact. I don't want to be sort of halfway in. So on the ground it's different. I don't want somebody on my back on the ground. So there's the distinction, there's the difference.
I was just seeing when the throw kind of falls, it's sort of incomplete, because you've seen people kind of landing the tail and the guys on the back.
Sometimes, but you've also seen guys getting thrown for a big hip on and you absolutely, take the air out of them. I mean, that's the danger, and that's why you need to have good groundwork. If you're confident on the ground, even if you come in for the technique, the guy's maybe half on your back, you've got good groundwork, you're not so worried about it. Because in judo, you just have to, defend for a short time anyway, and then it's back on your feet. Especially now with the new rules. So good groundwork, good standing, and get this, especially when you're young, get used to turning your back on your opponent all the time. You can go backward techniques much easier to learn. Forward, these ones, get into the habit of turning. That's my advice.
Quick question. I'm a shorter guy, so I've got a lot of problems dealing with guys with longer limbs. How do you sort of close that distance, especially when they've got sort of this over the top grip? How do you stop them getting that grip, and how do you sort of close the distance?
Well, if you're a smaller guy, then definitely you need to be fighting on the move a lot more. Don't stand toe to toe. Look at David Hay against you've got to move around. You can't stand there, and you certainly don't want to let them pull you in too much. You want to keep the space until you close the space. So again, I'm going back to Koga. Koga was 71 kilos. He came second in the All Japan Championships. That's any weight. And how did he do that? He fought a guy. He lost in the final eventually to a guy who's at 135 kilos. But it took him about nearly 15 minutes. And how did he do that? He kept the big guys at distance. And he closed that space only when he wanted to, generally. In the end he got caught because he was just exhausted. But keep your distance if you're a smaller guy and come in under, obviously your centre of gravity is lower anyway. So just come in underneath them as often as you can. Don't get into the strength. Don't fight their fight.
Okay.
If you're a bigger guy and a smaller guy, then of course you're going to try and close them in a bit. So it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Okay. And we'll line up and do a little bow off. Yeah.